It's not unusual for Matt Schwab to gain 10,000 Twitter followers in a single day. So it's natural that Schwab, the US editor-in-chief of TechRadar, a popular gadget site, doesn't review them all. But this past May, one new blue-checked follower stood out, the journalist Ronan Farrow, arguably the most famous investigative reporter in America. Over the past year, Schwab has become something of a celebrity himself, to the point that, depending on how you think about these things, he might wield more power than any other tech journalist in the country. Had he risen to such a level that he had become a target? He didn't know what he could have done. A little alarmed, Schwab messaged Farrow to introduce himself. "Like many gamers, I am watching hot stock for a PS5, Farrow responded, referring to the popular real-time product tracker. "If there's anything else I should be doing, I welcome pointers. When it comes to finding a PlayStation 5, pointers are Schwab's thing." Sony released its latest gaming console in November 2020, and it's been nearly impossible to get ever since. The global supply chain can't move enough microchips to meet the demand of a lockdown world running out of ways to amuse itself indoors. As a result, the consoles, along with the new Xbox Series X and certain computer graphics cards, have become objects of intense desire. For this desperate group of consumers, Matt Schwab is the most reliable guide for the trek to the top of Mount Bandicoot.
When Schwab tweets, his followers, nearly 1 million on Twitter, act. Don't try telling them it's just a game. In many cases, they claim their happiness, their relationships with their children, and even their livelihoods depend on buying the consoles. As a result, Schwab has the power to conjure thousands of people into digital and physical crowds around the nation, night and day, simply with his reporting. Can anyone else in journalism do that? The COVID-19 pandemic has turned some unlikely figures into celebrities, science and health reporters, epidemiologists, the turbo-vax guy, certain wild-eyed former New York Times journalists with outre opinions about COVID vaccines. But perhaps none is as improbable as Schwab, a journeyman consumer tech reporter who had just 8,000 Twitter followers in January 2020. TechRadar, his employer for the past 8 years, is a nice place to find, say, a hands-on review of a Samsung tablet, a careful story regarding the superiority of updates in Windows 11 relative to Windows 10, or a roundup of bizarre devices that support Amazon's Alexa. It is not traditionally a breeding ground of media stars. Yet Matt Schwab, with his unassuming manner and unpolished presentation, has become just that, a star. On the one hand, the circumstances behind his fame are as complex as the flow of world trade. On the other, Schwab is doing the oldest job in journalism, figuring out what people want to know and telling them as clearly and accurately as possible. Just as important, he's doing it all the time. From his one-bedroom apartment on the east side of Manhattan, behind a 6-monitor setup, Schwab has pioneered a form of always-on, participatory multi-platform service journalism, though he does most of his work on Twitter. He sets an alarm many nights for 3 a.m. Eastern, misses the occasional shower, and cuts short the occasional date. And he responds to DMs around the clock, mostly from ordinary people but occasionally from someone like Farrow, or actor Chris Williams, or singer Darren Hayes, one half of the heartthrob 90s pop duo Savage Garden. Still, as you might expect from Schwab, who founded his first video game news site at the age of 14, the long hours are not exactly a hardship. "This is my game," he told me recently, in the slight Philadelphia accent he retains from his childhood in Bucks County. "This is what I enjoy." To understand the service Schwab renders and the loyalty of his audience, it's necessary to understand what it's like out there for the poor souls trying to buy a PlayStation 5. Brick-and-mortar stores almost never have them in stock. Online retailers, like Best Buy, GameStop, and Amazon, release limited batches of the system at quasi-regular intervals. These restocks are digital feeding frenzies. Untold thousands of shoppers frantically refresh their shopping carts, competing against a silent network of so-called scalper bots, programs that continuously scan hundreds of websites and purchase the consoles as soon as they become available. Sustained, acute demand has created an entire secondary economy of resales and scams. On eBay and StockX, consoles go for twice the price. Meanwhile, on every imaginable social platform, fraudsters try to coax digital payments from naive buyers. They'll send you the PS5 after they have your money, of course.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.